Hello again. So we have covered um, the getting started part and also setting up the environment. So the next part is learning Cairo language. So Cairo is the language that is being used in writing smart contracts in the Starknet ecosystem. And I can say they are also migrating most of the tools to Rust. So without further ado, let's get started. First, we need to visit the Cairo book. So if you click on this link, you'll land to this page. So by the Cairo, okay. So let me just see here. So let's go to the getting started part, and actually let's go to installation. Since we had already done this in the last part, that is setting up the environment. So I can say we are free to go in and starting learning some Cairo things here. So I'm going to go through everything, but I can say I will go through the most things or the basic things and some of the things that are required in writing smart contracts. So let's first create a new project and see how we can be able to write our Cairo code. So if I go to my code here and go down to where I want to write these projects, so I'm going to open my terminal here, and then I'm going to do scab new. So say side when we are setting up the environment is that scab and SendForge, okay, scab, SendForge, and SendCast are very critical tools that we are going to use. And for this case, we are going to initialize our new project using scab. You could do the same using SendForge, but I'll come to that in a moment. That is when we'll be working or writing our first smart contract and also defining the smart contract logic. So for now, let's go with scab new, and this is going to help us do our project. So let's say maybe first project like that. So our first project has been created, and if MACD to first project, this is what we get, and open it in VS Code. So in our first project, it comes with a few files. That is when you use scab specifically. First, the src folder, the gitignore of course, and scab toml file. So in the scab toml file, that's where you'll find the project name or the so package name and also dependencies. And here is where we'll be defining more other tools. For example, we'll also be adding a SendForge tools like this, maybe even a tool for Goilfork. And also we will be having something to do with the target. That is what we are going to build. This is not the right format, so we'll get into the format of writing these different headers and or adding more of these tools here to our scab.toml file. So I don't need this. So currently we don't have any dependencies, and I'm going to leave this blank for now because we don't really need any dependencies to get started with Cairo. And under src you will get your lib.cairo file. So you can take lib.cairo file as the main entry file of your project. So before we get started, or before we go deep into this, there was one part about setting up the environment that I missed. That is, how do you set up your VS Code? So if you look at my VS Code here, I can say you can be able to see it has colored everything the way it should, or it has somehow done the syntax stuff. That's syntax highlighting, and also I do have something to do with the autocomplete. So if I were to do something like, let me just try to import something here so that you can see what I mean with the autocomplete. So if I do use array, I can be able to get all this stuff. Like I can say array, drop array treat, and many others. So this is the autocomplete I'm talking about, and the syntax highlighting. How do you get that? First, you need to go to your extensions, and in this case, we are going to install two specific extensions. The first one is Cairo 1.0, this one here, by Starknet Industries. Currently, it has 1866 downloads, but you can go ahead and have more. Okay, you might get it higher, but just take Cairo 1.0 v230. The next one is Cairo syntax, also from 0x, some name there. This provides syntax highlighting for Cairo files, while the Cairo 1.0 support for Cairo syntax. These two extensions are very, very critical because they will help you have a better working environment. So what's the next step? After installing the two, that's Cairo 1.0 and the Cairo syntax, you need to set up your VS Code. So you'll go to settings, and here I'm going to search for Cairo. So the moment I search for Cairo, I get 5 settings here. If I click on Cairo, the first one is the Cairo calling path. So enable language server. You need to check this one. I'll get back to this one, why I decided to go with this one. And we also have a language server path, the one here. And finally, we have the scab path. So to get all this, first you can go to your terminal there. And in this case, you can run this command, scab command. No, okay, let's try scab commands. Yeah, if you do scab commands, you're going to get some critical information. After you have enabled language server scab, you might need to pass in the language server path. You can get that one easily by copying just this path here. And then the next part is scab path. Also, it has been given here, I believe. Okay, so in fact, to get the scab path, you can run the which command. Oh, okay, not which command. Which scab, that's the command. Then that's your scab path. And then finally, the calling path. For this one, I had to go down to this path. That is home dalmas.cache. A scab registries std, that's standard v2.3.0 because that's my current scab version. The code then src. So I had to sort of apply it manually. This way you'll get autocomplete and a proper syntax highlighting. Reason why I'm suggesting you have this, it will help you catch errors before you move them to the next level. So by default, when you run scab new, it comes in with a symbol file that is with the Fibonacci function. So sort of creates just the normal Fibonacci function. So you can go ahead, see how it works. And for this case, you can be from this part, you can be able to see a few things. The first one is the main function. And you can say we have lib.cairo as the main entry file and the main function here as the main entry point, maybe entry function to your Cairo project. This is not all the case true. When we get to smart contracts, this will change a bit, but not much. So, and also after the main function, so you can write the rest of the functions, and these functions can be considered being in the same crate or in the same module of your Cairo file, for this case lib.cairo. So using them, you can just do fib, that's a function, then the same module. And thereafter we have the tests, and for the module of tests, you can decorate it with the CFG test macro, and these are called the so macros. More of these are being used in Rust very much. And as we said earlier, Cairo borrows much of the stuff from Rust. Then you can write your test, and each test has to be decorated with the hash test macro. And also sometimes you need to add the hash available gas macro. Reason being, whenever you have a loop like this, you need to have the available gas macro on it. So let's say this the default or the basic setting of a complete working Cairo project. How do you run it? To run this, you can just do scab Cairo run. So if I do this, it's going to compile and then finally try to run the file. But then you'll notice that it's saying available gas. It's not there. So let's run the command again and add the available gas flag. And why do we need to have the available gas flag? So let me add the value first before I forget. Yeah, why do we need the available gas? Whenever you have a loop like this, gas, you need to pass in the available gas flag with some random number, of course, a large number, depending on how large your loop is. So that's why you need the available gas. That's why on testing, there's this available gas macro there. So if I do that one, this one is going to run successfully, and then finally it's going to run successfully and returning some value there. So that's what's happening. Then how do you test? So testing is also quite easy. If I do scab test, there you are. Now our test has run. So let's see the test. The test is called it works, and that's what we get here. It works. So first project tests, it works, and you can see the naming case or the way the imports are done, and at some point we can be able to see how these imports are done. That is the package name, that's first project, the module, and the function, of course. So that's where you have like this long joint with the double colons there. Then we can say you have run or you have written your first contract, your first Cairo project. But this is not exactly what we need for this part, for the introduction. But yeah, you can say that's the starting point. So why not go deep and learn more about the most critical things that we want. We'll get to a race in just a moment. But for now, I'm going to quickly go through uh, a symbol, the just follow the Cairo book to quickly be able to write this. So I'm going to not delete everything, but I'm going to remove the return statement from there. So the first thing usually we do here, let me just delete everything like that. It will be better that way. So the first thing we usually do when we want to write our first function or our first thing in a given language, we usually print out hello world. So how do we print statements in Cairo? So also easy. So the first function that you need is main, and remember the function keyword is fn, then the brackets there, then curly braces there. So how do I print something? So I want to print my hello world. So I'm going to write hello world like this. Then I'm going to call the dot print method. So the dot print method, automatically you have seen it has imported something here. Use code debug print straight. So for you to use the print method on strings, then you need the print trait to be imported to your file or to your scope, into scope. That is, it has to be loaded into scope. Otherwise, things will go south. I will get back onto. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. So after writing your sent statement, after writing your line of code, you need to close it with a semicolon. That's also critical. I'll get back to this statement in a moment, but let's run our project. So scab Cairo run. So it's going to run out and it's going to print out hello world. So we can say we have written our first project. This is now the first project. The other one was like a skeleton. Yeah. So let's get and see something, some things that are unique to Cairo. First of all, you can be able to see here I've used that a single quote, not double quotes. So whenever you are writing the so-called strings, you need to use single quotes. Double quotes are not yet, they don't work currently in Cairo, but I believe with the time they might, but I'm not sure. So if I run this, I'll get, you can see the compiler, okay, the syntax highlighter is saying there are errors here. That's because I'm using double quotes. Take that into consideration, because you might find yourself doing double quotes, but you only need to use single quotes. So keep track of that. With this, that's the first part. And the print method works with the dot print. So sort of instead we are used the print method like this in Python. For this one, it doesn't work. So it's the hello world dot print. That's for strings, and also same for numbers. So let x equals to 1. We can do x dot print. So x.print can work because the print method has been implemented for integers. So if I do scab Cairo run, then that's what we get, 0, x1. And yeah, you will be seeing some a number of stuff like this hexadecimal stuff. So that is the hexadecimal for hello world, and then this 0x1 is the hexadecimal for 1. So that's what you'll be seeing, a lot of it. So don't look for unique number. If you feel like you need to test out what it has printed out, maybe copy that. Okay, let's try this out. I'm not sure. I will copy that one and go to a site here, maybe hexadecimal to decimal. Okay, let's just go with the first link and pick out the first value. So I'm going to pick hexadecimal to text, and I'm going to do the hex digit there, then convert. You will get something of sorts if you try to do this sometimes. Yeah, so I have to get rid of the 0x, then if I do print it out, then I can be able to see hello world. Remember, that's hexa decimal. Then also it works with these integers. Okay, let me just copy that one, 0x1, and I want to convert to decimal in this case. So I'll pass in my 0x1 and I get my 1 there. So that's how it works. So all the printouts will be in hexadecimal. So if you feel like something's not good, then just quickly go search for a converter, convert between hexadecimal to what you want. Decimal is for the integers, as we know. Text, yeah, text. And we have binary, octal, yeah, you can convert to those, but what you want here is the decimal and the text. That's base 10 and for the text. So that's the first part. A few things to take care of. All strings, I'm saying strings for now, but soon this term will change. All strings will be written in single quotes, not double quotes. And yeah, then let's go to the next part. And I can say here the next part is definitely about data types. So we have variables and mutability, and in fact, to declare our variables, we use let, the let keyword and the const keyword, like that. Okay, const maybe pi equals to, we don't have to, so I can only do that. Or am I getting this const pi missing this weird? Okay, is it 22 divided by 3 or 22 divided by 7? Which is which? Yeah, that's how things goes out easily. So I don't know why constants don't work the way they seem to work. Let me see whether that one will work. No, it's not. So I'll get back to const in a moment, but let me see it out. So that's how they're said. I need to do, let me see whether it will work out if I pass in, maybe I use that 2 here. Okay, that one seems to work. And why are you complaining? Missing, I'm not supposed to put that one there. How? Okay, I'm not sure, but to declare constants, you can do const, then pass in the type, then that's all. And you can see I've tried to put it here, it has failed. So maybe it does not need to be put into the main flow of the code. So just move it outside of the main flow. Then about that's about declaring variables let and const, you are good to go. The next part is data types, and I can say for Cairo it does not have those much data types, and it actually contains a few data types. I can't flow them through there, so I can just quickly come here and say data types, and we have a few of them. So we have integers. So the integers are just the positive integers only, starting from U8 to U256. But for the integers, we have booleans, that's bool. We have felts, 252. So felt 252 is the default like data type. So for example, this one can be considered as a felt 252 by default, unless I say the exact type that I want here is just a U8. So that's felt 252 is the default. Then we have integers, bools, felt 252. Then we have some arrays. Array is not like the data type, but yeah, that's something that you can do. And also we have felt 252 dictionary, dict. So I believe these are the default ones. Let me just quickly confirm. Oh, and also the so-called, so I can say tuples before arrays, like this. So we shall quickly check through them in just a flash. So how can we do that one? So the first one is the u, or the so-called integers. Maybe it's let I, maybe I say this are u8 equals to 1. So that's how you declare the integers. What about booleans? Let has coded equals to true. So that's both booleans. What are else? Let my string felt 252 equals to best blockchain language. Let's see whether this one will accept. Yeah, it has accepted. And there's something so something that you also need to consider when writing your strings, the so-called strings. Those are the FL252. So something to consider is that this one cannot be more than that one characters. So let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So those are the 24 best blockchain language in the world. So if I do this, you already see something like the red there. The value does not fit within the range of type core FL252. So remember, FL252 is only that one characters wide. So anything more than that one characters, and so that's that one characters. So anything more than that one characters in Cairo is not going to fit into a FL252. Remember that, otherwise you'll be finding yourself into this big problem of trying to send a large string from the front end and trying to store it into the database. So let me just write here, cannot exceed that one. Is it that one characters or that one bits? So yeah, that's the thing, don't exceed that one characters. Then after felt we have tuples. Let my tuple okay, let's maybe say student scores. So maybe student 1 got this. So the tuple definition is like that. You just do like that. You that 2, you that 2, and you that 2. And to define it, you just do something like maybe 10, 20, and that. That's the thing. Okay, I did something here wrong. So like that. Then you close your tuple or your line like that with a semicolon at the end. Then next we have the so-called arrays. So let class maybe, so this one is an array. You can say maybe an array of type felt 252 like that, and you go ahead and say array trait new like that. So this one is going to initialize a new array trait of type felt252. It can only take felt252s. So the type here determines the kind of input the array is going to hold. Otherwise, to import the array in case you get errors, so just use array trait. So this one is going to pull in all the required methods about the array. For now, maybe it didn't give us problems. Let's just assume it has been imported and just try to do cast.append. What are we going to append? I don't know. So we do like that. But there we have another thing. Why is this in red? So ref argument must be a mutable reference. So whenever you are dealing with arrays and trying to mutate n statement, or not just arrays but all these variables here, and you are trying to even, for example, mutate I, just maybe trying to say I equals to 2, then this one is going to be problematic because we have the so-called state mutability, and Cairo, like Rust, does not allow somebody to change something that is not mutable. So for you to make I to be the value to be changed, you need to make it mutable. So how do you do that? You include the mute keyword. So for this, I need to do that, and I can do here mute like that. So that's one. If I say let mute I equals to that, and we have let has coded, I can also do something called shadowing, and I say here false. So shadowing sort of trying to recreate the same variable twice. That's shadowing. So from the Rust language, you can borrow that one and just know it's the same. So we have dealt with arrays. Oh, I have not really done something much here. Cast.append. Hi. So my test is really less here, so you can bear with me. So we have two casts, and I want to check the length of the cast. So if I say cast.len, I can be able to see the length of the cast. Maybe dot print. So because it's a usize, then it can just quickly print it out. That's about arrays. And finally, we have the felts. Let maybe that's a felt 252 dict, in fact. So for that one, we need to sort of do like let's say balances equals to a felt. Is that how it's written? 252 dict. I'm not sure. We'll get back to this in just a moment. Yes. Okay, let me just confirm that one quickly before we purely continue. So I'll go to dictionaries and try to get it. It's felt 252 dict. I'll copy that one and just use it here. How is it initialized? Oh, with the default. Okay. So I need to do this, the felt 252 here, and pass in the type. That's the T, that's generic. So maybe I say this is going to be a balance of the U256. So for example, you want to track the balances of each individual in your contract. Then I can do the default like this. Then it's going to initialize this one, but this one is sort of complaining. Then you need to go variable not dropped. I need to drop this. Wait, are they saying that? Let's try to include the so-called mute here. Still problematic. Variable not dropped. Why is it complaining? So let's just quickly go through. Data type represents a collection of key value pairs where the key. Then I've done exactly the same, but I'm getting several errors. Default. Right. So yeah, this really weird, but let me just test whether my code is running up to that point by just doing scrub Cairo run like that. Yeah, it's running and it's working, meaning I'm getting errors down here. So let me just quickly comment this out so that to be able to see why it's complaining. So let me the balances fail to 52 dict, U256. What's not dropped? Okay. Will that one help you? Okay. Then I can't do like oh, actually this fell 252 larger than yeah that one I can say it does something. Yeah, so I'll return this one and do that one like that. Yeah, so for this one you can do U256. It's larger than a felt 252. So yeah, that one I think it's fine. Then if you have something like this, then you can just quickly do balances.insert to insert into a new balance. So here I'm going to say maybe the key is Alex. I'm actually copying what's there. So Alex, and the value is maybe 100. That's the thing. So that's how you do the felts. I will talk more about arrays in just a moment because there are specific methods that are given to arrays. Now that you have done dealt with the given data types, you can call them data types because somebody can argue arrays and felt 252 dict are not data types, but I can say yeah. Then thereafter you can go ahead and do your own data types. So what are custom data types? So the custom data types they come in using the so-called structs. So with structs, and if I may say, let me just try to create a struct here. I'll just do it here. Struct user. This is a custom data type that I want. Maybe this user to have a name, which is a file 252, and maybe I want this user to have a phone number. Maybe a file 252 also, file 252, and also this user I want them to have a maybe an email. So file 252 has confirmed email maybe to be a boolean, a bool, maybe also to have a which other okay, yeah, we can do maybe none of blogs that this user has listed. Maybe we can say this are you that too, and also you can go ahead. Do we have something else that we can put here? So that's how you can do. Let's also include a tuple here, a tuple like this, and say this a tuple that takes in are you that two and are you that two, like that. Like you can do a custom data type to now hold all the information that you want about a given struct or about a given object, as we call them in JavaScript. So this one can help you quickly be able to come up with custom objects, custom data types for your contract. And this one is going to be greatly used in doing our contract, because that's where we will be doing. Then about that's about so I can say here IE user struct from above. So these are the so-called custom data types. Yep, doing structs. Then after that we have the structs. Then we have the so-called control flow. So under the control flow, here is where we have to use the if statements, if statement and loops. We have the match. I've put match here because it's sort of something to help us match some stuff. That's match option. Yeah. So the if statement loops. So that's for control flow. I think, yeah, under loops we'll have the likes of break and continue. And next you can be able to go through this. Let me find the control flow. Here we go. So for the control flow, what do we have? If statement, if and let statement, let, then the if. So if statements will in this case, if condition that's true, it will return 5, so number will be 5, else the number will be 6. Then let's go down. If statement with the loop, then we have loops, a loop, then result loop, something of sort. I've added match statement there, but I prefer it under that. But yeah, then let's proceed. I've talked about functions, and you can see, for example, the main function is the like fn main is a function. That's how you do a function. Fn keyword, the function name, brackets, and any parameters, then the curly brackets, and then the logic goes there. Then we can safely say that we have dealt with the up to that part of control flow, though not like into it. So this is your work. Just go in and learn more about it. Then so let's quickly go through arrays and dictionaries, because you will need them. So about the arrays, so just continue down here, because I'm not going to sort of do the entire stuff fully. So under arrays, for example, we had the car array there. So I'm just going to copy actually this part here and sort of move it down so that we can interact with it. So okay, let me move this. Then I'll also talk about scope right now in this particular point. So we have done the cars.append. So that's an array. When you want to push something into the array, you use .append method. That is cars.append. That's sort of pushing. Then there's another method. There are other methods. The first method that we have looked into is the len, that returns the length of the array. For this case, it will print out 2. Let's go down. Updating an array, append, that's the append, that's the work of updating. Then how do we read from arrays? So reading from arrays, we can use the so-called the at method, and the at method takes in the index, and it will return a snapshot. Then we need to desnap the snapshot so as to get the exact value of that specific point. So maybe we can do something here. Let Prado equals to cast dot at, and we have said it will need an exact index, and this one is going to return something called at cofel 252. At is something called a snapshot. A snapshot is sort of like a copy, you can say some point, you can say like a clone at some point, so sort of similar thing, but you now can't like reference the at cofel 252 is not equal to cofel 252. For example, if you were trying to match like let's just use the assert statement, Prado equals to, okay, the equal signs that's under the conditionals. So equal signs you can sort of do like, let me do like that, maybe say not Prado, and if you try to do this, you'll get something like mismatch types. The at cofel 252 cannot be created from a numeric, literal, something of sort. So the reason this happens is because these ones are not the same. So you need to desnap this. You can either use this the desnapping, that's the caster there. That one can help you desnap and return it back to the normal felt 252, so that you can go ahead and do something like an assert statement like that. Get run panicked not Prado. Oh, why did it do that? Oh, I need to do like Prado like that still. Yeah, so that one should work. Yeah, that's worked. So that's how it works. So if you use the at, remember it will return a snapshot, but at that given index, then you need to desnap. Some points, sometimes you might not need to do like the entire desnapping. You might need sometimes you might need to use something called unwrap, but this not all the time. And sometimes you need to use something called box, so that to be able to read some values that have been sort of have those snapshot stuff. Yeah, but those instances you'll encounter them, so just go through arrays to learn more. That's the at, to read at a given index. Also, we have another method called I don't think those are all. Yeah, dot get method. So the dot get method will return an option, and I can say this one of the other methods that you can use to quickly maybe help you make sure that you get the right object, or the right object from the array, and also sort of yeah, so it will return an option. Oh, I need to pass in something here. In the dot get method, it requires an index, I believe. Is it an index? So let me see what it returned. It has returned an option. So yeah, dot get will return an option, and so you can call the so-called unwrap here like that. Dots, I don't need the dot. What is this? So this will return at core and box. So the snapping won't help. Yeah, these are some of the instances that you won't get the exact thing, but then you will still need to go down the rabbit hole of the match statement. So yeah, let's just quickly use the match statement. So I've gotten something, and after I talked about the match statement somewhere here under the control flow. So the match statement can help us quickly get the exact thing that we want. So I want to match the cast at index 0, and So if this is an option, sum, if there's some car here, I want to return the car. Otherwise, in the option none, I want to return maybe an A. That is, what is this? Okay, let me just quickly reference this one. I don't want to do something that's, yeah, they are saying option that return star x dot unbox. Yeah, this way you use the unbox, then none. I want us to panic come in. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so this one will give out the exact car. If I do get at index 0, I want to see whether it will return the required car. Yeah, that one worked. But if I try to get maybe at index 2, we exactly know that we don't have index 2, then this one should panic and say car not Prado, because it has returned an A. So in this case, if I use the snap, this sort of the referencing then unbox method to actually remove it from the box that's in. Let me just use the layman terms there. Yeah, then that's where it goes. So there I can be able to read the Prado. And this is just a simple match statement. Match statements are also very, very critical when it comes to matching something called enums. So like structs, we have something else like an enum to keep or to help us create our custom data type. It's another thing to help us create sort of dynamic data type. Let me just say maybe dynamic data type like this. So because it will help us keep different okay, let me just do, maybe I want this to return maybe I want to return I'm trying to get the terms. So in this case, enums the same that have been given in Rust, so you can return the same thing, or you can use them in the same way. So in our dynamic data type, the dynamic enum, so here I can say maybe I'm going to list here categories, an enum of categories. So maybe I can just rename this to category like this. And under the category, maybe let's say we want this to be under the dairy category. And after that, we might be having the apiculture. And after that, we can be having a different enum, maybe something like I'm trying to get this stuff about agriculture. Yeah, that time sort of real tough for me. Anyway, so we have an enum of this type. Then we can use the match statement here. So before I get back to the enums, let me quickly go through the arrays and the scope. And in this case, the scope will be the same for other data types or other variables. Let me just say other variables. So if something moves out of scope, so what's a scope first? A scope is like this code block here between the curly braces. So this is sort of linked into a scope. That's a scope. When you use a loop statement, for example, if I say, so a loop is like a for loop. So if I say loop and like that, this is a different scope as compared to this outer scope. In this case, because this scope is inner, it can access anything that's out but above it. For example, it can access this here, it can access the cast here, and sort of do something with it. But if I define something here, let y equals to 2, this one cannot be moved or cannot be used. It can be used here, I believe. Let me just confirm. I need to do a colon there. Yeah, let's see. What are you saying? Identify not found. Yeah, in fact, yeah, this one has been defined out of scope, so it has only been defined within the scope. Yeah, so remember, whenever you are dealing with scopes, some things might not be in scope and others will be in scope. So just watch your curly braces. Whenever whatever you are using, is it within the curly braces or is it out? Then you can be able to tell whether it has been put in the right or in the wrong place. So let me just continue with my scope statements. So we have a class array here. So what I want to check here is whether the class array can be moved in or out of scope. So how can I do that? So we have calculated the length of the array here using class.len.print. So the .len method takes a snapshot of class, meaning I can be able to continue adding more class. Maybe class.append, and what I'm appending here is the so-called is it Toyota? Is Toyota car? Yes. It has cars. I don't know how they're called, but yes, it has. Now that we have appended another car, then I can go ahead and say cars.print the len again. I want to see how many print statements I have so that I can be able to quickly shut them down like that on the scab Cairo run. Then you'll notice now we have 2 cars, then we have 3 cars. So reason being cars.len or the length method did not move the variable cars from scope. But let's sort of do something else here. So here I'm going to do a function, calculate len. So this one is going to take in an array of felt 252, let's say. Sorry for that guess. So whenever you are doing your parameters, that is the function arguments, function parameters, wherever you may call them, you need to do something like that. First, the key, okay, or the parameter itself and its data type. Then next you do the next parameter and the data type. So that's how you do your passing parameters and to functions. So let me quickly finish this. Maybe here I say array.len. Because I want to return something from this function, I need to pass in the return type. So you have to tell Cairo what's the return type of this function. And in this case, do I have a usize? Yeah, I'm going to return a usize like that. So then I can just come here and say maybe I want to this Prado. Okay, let me just sort of do that, then do that. I can do calculate the len. I pass in the class dot print. Because a user has print method implemented for it, then let's see what we'll get. Now we have 2 3. That one sort of works, but where do we have the, we need to have 2 3s, not just one. Oh, the assert failed and everything failed afterwards. Okay, right. So I'm going to get rid of the assert, return my 3 here and continue. So I have 2 3 3. That one has worked just fine. But what is wrong with this? So let's try something else. So I want to do cars.append x. You will notice something else has happened here. So cars.append is not okay. Let's see what it says. Trait has no implementation in context. Core traits copy something of sort. So the array trait does not implement the copy trait, meaning you cannot sort of use it here, like sort of pass it into this scope. That's the calculate len. It has used it here, then try to access the same variable afterwards. What happens here is that the cars variable has moved out of scope. It was moved down to the calculate len function, moved down to this scope. The moment the calculate len finished running, this array was dropped out of scope, meaning it was not returned to the original scope. That's how that's how things work out. So in this case, we can say the array is out of scope, or it was moved out of its original scope and now you cannot access it. But what can we do in order for us to access the same car and sort of continue using it? So if I just sort of use snapshots here, maybe I do a snapshot here. To do a snapshot is you just add the at there, and here you do at like that. Now for this one, it's going to work as expected. So 033, and I can also duplicate this and move it there, and you will now notice we have 0. Okay, just a moment. We have 0334. It's because now we have just sort of copied the class array. We have not really like taken everything, but we have just taken a clone or a copy, just a snapshot of the array onto the calculate line, meaning we did not move the original cast variable from its main scope. Something else you can do is using references. So how do you use reference? So if I do ref like that, I need to do here ref. So ref cast like that. I need to do here ref cast like that. So that's how you can use references. 2, 3, 4. So where do you, sometimes you don't need really references. And what are references? So references means if I have something like such a car, like an array like this, I can quickly come here and maybe say array.append another car like this, and proceed with the normal stuff. What do you expect the last value will be? The 0x4. Let's see. So it's now 6. Why is it 6? So this what happened. So in this case, we were to add this one to make this one the 0. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We have the 3 cars there. We have the 4th car there, and we have added another car here, and also we added the same car here. So we have the calculate length twice. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We added another car when we called the calculate length function first. Now 5, the car x. Then 6, we added another car here, calculate length, because now that's how it goes. So ref will help us sort of mutate the variable in a different scope when used in this part, and snapshots can only allow us to just have a copy, an immutable copy, and the ref will help us get a mutable. That is like it can mutate, while for snapshots you cannot mutate the state. So let me get rid of that and return my snapshot so that we can confirm that. So do their art like that. So that's the problem. Append not found on at. Did you import the correct trait? So you might be seeing such like errors. Do you import the correct trait or implementation? Yeah, sometimes the at core, this snapshot is not mutable, so you cannot change the state of the given variable. Yeah, so we'll be using the snapshots references when we'll be writing our smart contracts very much. So let me just get rid of this, and we can say we have covered the scope also. So the next part is the enums and the match statement. Very critical also. How can we use enums and the match statement? So let me quickly okay, let me get rid of this stuff here. I'll get to a loop in a moment. So how can we use enums? So let's say so what do we have? Dairy, apiculture, and okay. So let's say let honey equals to what do we call our function or our enum? It's category. So I'm going to say category like that, and in this case I'm going to say category apiculture. So I don't have the type here, variable not dropped. That's the first thing you might be seeing. So how do we deal with such like values or such like things? Whenever we are defining our structs and our enums, there are very critical macros that we need to decorate them with. The first one is okay, hash derive, and I want to derive the drop macro, and also want to derive the copy macro. So these are very critical, these two macros, because that's how they will help you sort of move, copy, drop, and help you. Like for example, in this case, whenever the honey moves out of scope, that is whenever it moves out of the whenever it has run out of the main function, it needs to be dropped. That's why it was complaining, variable not dropped. Same would have happened to user. Copy also will allow us to sort of use the same or move it from one scope to another without having the error like variable not copied, not cloned, does not implement X. Yeah, so that's the function of the two macros, the drive, copy, and drop. So let's proceed. So I have the honey here. I know honey is under category apiculture. So how can you be able to literally tell that this honey is under apiculture? This is where the match statement also comes in. Now I'm going to use here the match statement like this and I say match honey. That's my input. And say I want to check for the category apiculture. If it matches, all I want you to return maybe is apiculture, the name, like this. But for this, we need to get all the, how am I getting this? Okay, let me just sort of do like let category equals to that. It needs to return something. I'm not sure why it's complaining. Just a moment. Let's check it out. So anyway, I want to have a category apiculture to return this value. The next part is you need to match all the arms of the enum. Otherwise, matching a single variant of the enum might result into unforeseen errors like this one. I'm not sure whether that's the error, but let's match all the functions. We have dairy also. So let me start with dairy like this, then apiculture. So I can say here dairy, apiculture, and finally we had horticulture. So we do here horticulture, then we need to return here. Actually, we need to return this guy here like that. So it's complaining because it's sort of, we are sort of returning something from the match statement. And let me see whether this is going to work. Category equals to field 252. Is it going to work? So I'm going to do category.print and let's see what we get. Do I have a lot of prints? Let me just hide off my prints because they're going to cause problems. So I'm commenting them out. So if I do that one, you will be able to notice here it has printed out apiculture. Reason being that's another place where you're going to use the match statement. So remember, match statement can help you quickly sort of match through a large variant of variables. So somebody might be asking, isn't this work getting out of hand? Yeah, it's sort of getting out of hand, but this, yeah, the reason I'm saying it's sort of getting out of hand, it's because we are sort of adding everything onto the same file. But I said let's just use a single file to make things visible. The next part, critical part, is to look into, so we have looked into enums, though not deeply. I just prefer that you go ahead and sort of look them by yourself. We have looked into structs. Oh, we have not really tested them out. Why can't we test them out? So we have the user struct here. So we have looked into the enums. That's how we can be able to read through the enums. The reason as to why it was failing and giving us errors, it's because we are sort of trying to return something out of a single arm. So this is called a match statement arm. For example, for the option, it has two arms. It has option some and option none. We have the error enum that has something like error. Is it error? Okay, no. I think it's okay and error. That's the result enum. Yeah, I'm sorry. The result enum has okay and error. The option enum has some and none. And also when you have custom enums, then you have to implement all the required arms or the arms that you have created in that enum. And then in this case we have the dairy arm, the apiculture arm, and the horticulture arm. So you have to implement all of them in your match statement for it to be able to work fully. So otherwise it will fail and say, no, I don't know what you are telling me here. Why are we returning something here? And otherwise that's why we are returning something, so that we can append it onto or set into it onto the category. So structs. So let's say we have users, and in this this is an array in fact. Okay, let me just start symbol. So how do you use struct? So we have the user struct. So you just need to come here and say user. You need to pass in all the available parameters on user. So you can see missing member name, phone number, and all those stuff. So you need to do the name, and in this case you can just say maybe Dalmas. The next part is the phone number. So sometimes you might get the auto completion or not, so don't wait for it. Do my phone number there. The next part that is required is, I don't remember everything, so email has confirmed. Okay, I think I can copy these guys like this and paste them here like that. So the email maybe is the email. Then after that we have the bool has confirmed the email. I'm going to say maybe true. Number of blogs, I have like maybe let's say 5 blogs, and the tuple here I'm going to say 10 10. Okay, 10 20 can be good. So that's how you do your structs. So that's how you use your struct. So struct user like that. So that's for the user struct. And how can I use maybe this struct together with the tuples, together with the arrays? So the first one, let's start with users. So I'm going to say this is a mutable state or a mutable variable that's going to be an array of users. And in fact, you can do something like this. Oh, sorry for that. Array of user, and maybe say array trait new. That's one thing that you can do. So this has initialized an empty array of users. Something else that you can do is doing something like let mute you users. So instead of passing the type there, you simply pass the type here like this. This one will also work because this one will result into the same thing, that is called array first project user, and also this is the same as the other one. So when passing in types, sometimes if you are using the so-called traits, you can simply do like that. But yeah, all the methods will work out. So let's go with the second method and try to say users.append, and in this case I can't append anything else other than users or other than the user struct. So if I try to append one, I'm going to get an error saying let's look at the error. It's saying the type first project cannot be created from number. So it's trying to create user struct from a numeric literal. That's problematic. It requires a user. So I can do like passing a user. I'm going to duplicate the same and finally try to do users.len. I have the calculate len function down here, so I can just quickly pull that one in and pass in the users array as a snapshot at, then do .len like that. Oh, not .len, sorry for that. I need to do .print. Why are you complaining? Oh, I'm passing in an array of that. Can I do a generic function? Let's try to do a generic function. So that's a generic function, and I believe that one will work. So we have 4 users. 1 2 3 4. Yep, that's how you do generic. So we are moving fast, so don't worry. So how do you do generics? That's how you do them. T, and the type T is required there, then just do array.len, because we have already said here it's an array, but with type T. That's a generic type. Then we are done with the using arrays. Something critical, we have not really looked into dropping something from an array, but that's something that you can check out. So under arrays you can get, and also you can pop front. So what does pop front do? Let me just quickly use it here. Okay, so I have printed the array length here. I'm going to also do let user1 equals to, so the methods that we looked into arrays were at and the get, that either return a snapshot. Is it a snapshot or a reference? So either return a snapshot that you need to the snap, or something that returns, the get method returns an option sum that you can take into consideration the snapping, then unboxing, and the other method. Yeah. So something else that we need to look at is the pop front. So I can do users.popFront, and we also have pop front consume. I want us to do pop front. What does pop front do? If I hover over user1, it will return an option of some user. So I need to go ahead and try to consume this. So let me try to do unwrap there. What do I get? So if I do unwrap, I get the user object. So the exact user struct that I wanted. So this way, so the pop front sort of returns an option that does not need unboxing. So you can quickly just do unwrap if you are sure there's that user. But by then, if we calculate the len after popping front, let's see what we get. So we had 4, and let's see what we get. Now we have 3. So pop front is like, how is it in JavaScript? Is it .pop? That is for Python. Can't really recall, but I believe that for JavaScript. Why am I forgetting my JavaScript now? So let's just focus on Cairo. But we are used with the pop method and the push method from JS, I believe. Yeah. So the moment you do pop front, it removes and returns. Okay, it removes the last element and returns it. That's how it works. So by then it means that the overall length will reduce. That's why the first length was 4, but when we did pop front, it returned the last element from the array and removed it from the array, and hence the length was now shorter. So that's arrays in okay, you structs in arrays. Something else maybe you might need to check out, let the so-called tuples. And in fact, tuples are very, very critical when it comes to smart contract development, because they will help us generate or make unique keys for different inputs and different entries into our storage. So what storage, we'll get into that. So if you want to learn more about storage, don't miss to check out the series on writing smart contract code. That's where we'll be dealing with storage and more other stuff about smart contract specific. So, and in this case, we'll have, I'm going to just use my user there because, yep, why not? So that's how tuples work. So if you are using tuples with structs, just symbol brackets and do your stuff there, and you are good to go. So why do we need enums? If I may go back a bit. So enums can help us quickly store different types of, so let's say you have an array of maybe product categories. Let's say you have, let product 1, maybe product 1 equals to a given product, and this product takes in different categories. So let me quickly illustrate what I mean by using a struct. So I'm going to copy my derived drop copy and use them there in a new product struct. So what happens here is, let's say we have a product like this, and let's say the name of the product is Affelt 252. So, and I want to have the categories for this product. And in this case, the categories are an array. So how can I be able to track the different categories of this product? So, Okay, that should be a comma. So I need to use an enum. So for this case, I'm going to use an enum of category. Okay, there we go. So this one can help me track different categories of a given product. Remember that the categories will sort of return something like this: dairy, agriculture, and hence I can expand this to track more categories. So let me see, why is this complaining? Oh, it's complaining because it's incomplete. So with this, I can be able to say, oh yeah, I have a product that has several categories, and maybe the last thing I want to add here is the price, and maybe set this to a U, that too, I don't expect a product to be so large, but that too is large enough to handle its price. So let's create a product. So take the product there and do it there. So for this product, I want to have the name. So what will the name of my product? Maybe the Cairo book is the product. You see, go buy Cairo book. And the next thing, what categories does it fall under? So I might be forced to change okay, let's let it remain like that. The categories I want this product to fall under are, it's an array. So how do I sort of append an array here? I can't sort of do, I don't know whether we have vec. We don't, oh, vec is for Rust. So I think we have array like that. This one, is that the shorthand of writing an array? There's a shorthand of writing an array in Cairo. Let me quickly try to see whether I can be able to get it, or it just vanished, or I'm just imagining things. I'm not sure. Or it's just gone. So let me see. Do I have something like this? Yeah. Okay. Control F. Nope. We don't have that one. Where did I see that one? Okay, we don't have a shorthand. So the fastest way we can quickly generate the product categories is maybe say product. Okay, let's categories. Did I have something like that? Okay, I'm not sure, but I can just quickly say array trait. Maybe I need the category there and say new there, and then I'm going to append all the three categories. Okay, I need to change this one to be mutable first. Categories dot append, and what I'm appending here is the category enum and the category enum apiculture. That's the first one. Then I'm going to append the second and last. What was that one? We have apiculture, we have dairy, and finally we have culture. Then I need to do here is just do categories like that. Then finally I need to pass in the price. Maybe this product cost maybe 500 shillings. And finally I need to do like that. Why am I having an error? So variable not dropped. Drop product. Okay, why is it not dropped? Oh yeah, I forgot to pass in my derive copy and drop there. So that's why I said the syntax highlighting and the Cairo language server, very critical. You can't catch that error. You'll only catch it when you are down into your production stuff. So here is another problem. And this one, you won't be seeing it. You'll just be finding it there with you. I have an error. And the error that I have is saying invalid copy trait implementation. Trait has no implementation in context. Core traits copy array. So this is the thing. Sometimes when you are trying to do such like stuff, you'll get an error placed in the wrong place. For example, in this case, where do we have an error here? In fact, under option trait, and the error is purely related with an array trait that should be related with the product struct. So when you have something like this, do not tense. It's easy to solve. Just read through the error, and it's saying invalid copy trait implementation. Trait has no implementation in context. Core array, something like copy array. You see, when you get something like this, try to see where you are using an array, which struct are you using that's using an array, and for that struct you have implemented, copy on it. So for this case, I have categories here that's implemented array under the product struct. So I don't need the copy traits or the copy macro there. So this is critical because sometimes these errors appear where you don't expect them. That's why I want you to set up your Cairo language server and the Cairo one. Just set the syntax and the syntax highlighting stuff. It will help you very much to catch such like errors. So for this case, we have a product. If I do something like this, okay, like that, scab Cairo run, I'll get everything is running correctly. But now if I do, I can print much of the stuff here. So product one dot name dot print, I can print the name because print has been implemented for each field. I can say product one dot let me do price first dot print. This one is also going to work very nicely. So if I run my function or my code, I have the Cairo book and the value 0x1f4, that's 500. Then how do I print now the categories? This is where things start getting weirder. So I want to print out the categories, but now I can't print the product category, or I can't print out all the categories of each of this product. But I want to do that one. Then you can quickly go ahead and do a function, print categories, something like product categories. Okay, categories like that. And this one, maybe it will take in a product, maybe a snapshot of the product like that, and it will proceed to do what it wants to do. Print categories. But this is not how everything is to be written, and in fact not even a better idea. So there's something that we can do that can make this work easier and cleaner, not just the functional code. Is the functional style of writing code, just everything into functions. So we need to just try out the so-called object-oriented programming. I have no idea whether that's the correct term, but yeah. So how can we use sort of that one to quickly clean our code up? So Cairo, like Rust, gives us something that's critical, that is very nice and critical when it comes to doing such like stuff. Enums and structs can have their own functions attached to them. For example, I want to be able to print the categories or they print the product information. That is, print the categories, print the name maybe, and also print out the price, or even get the price of a product from the product struct. I don't have to go ahead and do a different function to do or to handle that. How can I achieve that one so easily? So what you can do here is just use something called traits. And don't worry, we have skipped a lot, but that's where we are. So we have method syntax, an example using structs. So we have just been jumping into structs like this one here. So where's the struct? Here we have a struct, struct rectangle, and if you go ahead and try to read through, you can be able to see all that we have been trying to come up with, or okay, what we have been doing. So here I want to be able to go ahead and sort of show you how we are going to use structs, or okay, not structs, but rather traits, to quickly work around much of the stuff here. So what are traits? Traits sort of give interfaces or functions that can be implemented for one or more structs. Let me say for one or more structs or enums. So let me just do the first trait here. I'm going to do a simple trait. So this trait is going to be maybe product trait like that. And this product trait has a single function in it. For example, fn print categories. And for this case, it's going to take in self. At product, and it's not going to do anything, so I can safely do like that. So that's how you do or write a trait. So whenever you're writing a trait, you sort of write the trait keyword, the trait name, product trait. Then in this case, I've just specifically said what the trait is going to handle at product. Then how do I implement now my print categories function? The next thing you can do, impel product implementation, that's mbl of product trait, like this. Then in this mbl, that's where you're going to write your function. So just copy your function, and in fact, before you even do it, will say not all trait items are implemented, so missing print categories. You need to implement the print categories. Once you have done that, now here's where you are going to do your functionality. So what is this product? We know this product contains categories as a key. It has name, categories, and the price as the keys. But currently we are focused on printing out the categories. How can we achieve that one? So to achieve the categories in the product, we know they are an array, meaning we can use a loop. So this way we are going to use a loop. So I'm going to write loop. And in fact, so I need to sort of do like proper matching. Okay, looping through the entire categories because it's an array. So let count, or I need to make this mutable because it will be mutating. So I'm going to start at index 0. And in this case, I want to get the first category. So let category equals to, so which is the first category in this case? So the first category that we have here is this here. So self.categories.at. So you can use the at statement or use the get statement. And in this case, I'm going to use the at statement to help us quickly just do some sort of the snapping stuff. So at index count. So because we are not familiar with the count, let's just use our I. Let's just avoid a lot of problems. They use our I. But now if you look at this category, it's at first type project. So I need to the snap. So I have my category there, but I don't know which category is this. Then if here I'm going to do a match statement quickly. So I'm going to match through the category. And in this case, if it's category something, then do something. So we had already done a match statement here. Why not sort of copy and work with that one? Where's this match statement? Here it is. So just copy the statement there and paste it here. So do like that. Or am I getting this? Okay, just a moment to fix them. So it's sort of complaining because I'm returning. So what I need to do, instead of just returning, I don't want to really return. I want to just dot sort of print like that. Don't want to return anything. So I'll quickly do dot print like that, and also do dot print like that. So I'm going to match category, identify a missing terminal colon, semicolon. Okay, I do that one. Yeah, there I have other problems. So it's saying I'm missing terminal brace. Just a moment, where do I get the terminal brace error from? I have that one there. I have my function there. Okay, yeah, I need those. Let's first quickly do the semicolons first, because this is a function or that scope. Then also I need to break out of this if I, so I want to check whether I is less than the is it equals, is it greater than so if we start with this 0, then I loop through the first loop, I goes to 1 and I plus plus. Okay, we'll get that into that one a moment. I need to do I plus equals 1 to increment it. Then if I is less than what? If I is greater than self.categories.len. Oh, yep, I want to break, but I literally want it to be above this statement here to avoid it running. So 0, I want it to run through the 0, the 1 and the 2, then it will run, but then it will, okay, let's test it out. So I'm getting an error here. Okay, yeah, I'm returning in this case using the return statement there, I believe. Yep, that's problematic. So if I do this one, it means I'm going to return, but if I just leave it like that, I'm not going to return anything from there. So I have now print categories method there under the product trait, and this product trait has been implemented for the product. So what next then? I have that. What can I do? So I need to proceed down to sort of print out the product categories. So product one dot categories dot oh, it's just actually product one dot print categories, like that. So if I run this one, let's see what we get. Oh, so yep, that we are getting back to where we started from, the available gas flag. So what's the available gas flag? The available gas flag is required because we have used a loop here. So let's add that one back. Available gas, we do maybe 200,000. And if we run that one correctly and it works, then it's going to say Cairo book, the price, and apiculture, dairy, and horticulture. What if we removed one category from the product itself? So instead of appending horticulture, we only do two, and then we get something of that sort. But finally, we have the error I was talking about, index out of bounds. So this because we are trying to access an index that is out of bounds, meaning our product categories function, print categories function is sort of using an out of an index. So is it greater than or equal to the len? If len is 2, the I is, oh, it's there. If len is 3, then the I should end at 2, meaning I only need to check at the first 2. Yep, let's see. Yeah, and we no longer have that error. Yeah, don't worry, these things sometimes you need to implement and see where they're failing for you to quickly catch them. Yeah, that's where testing of smart contracts comes in, and not just for smart contracts. The loop is so common in all languages. So yeah, personally, usually if I am not sure what's going to happen, then just run. If you get the out of bounds, then know you have an error with your loop. You need to break where you need to break. Yeah, so that's the thing. Now we have successfully worked through structs. Okay, let's say starting from enums, structs, traits, and implementations. So implementations of traits. Not all the time that you need to sort of implement, like do a trait, then do something like this. Sometimes you can use something called the generate trait macro over your implementation slow. So let me try to do okay, I'm getting this, so let me do like that. Remove that, and you're good to go. So it's not all the time that you need to write like trait, product trait. Sometimes you can do generate trait. So, and sometimes you can sort of do generate trait, because if you want to reuse a trait choice, then it's best that you use it, you write the trait. So that's about all that we needed to cover for this particular segment of our code. But there's something more and something larger that we need to go deep into. Okay, take a look into that is generic traits. And yeah, so let's first start with generic traits. And for this trait, I'm going to say it's going to be called a trait. So let me just start slow. let's say we have two structs, struct rectangle, and this one you can pick it from the Cairo book. So and this rectangle, we know it has a base, is it width and height. So a width which is maybe a u8, and a height which is a u8, right? Then after that we have a triangle, maybe struct, maybe triangle like this, that needs to have a base, maybe a u8, and a height, maybe a u8. So I need to sort of have a single trait to be able to implement the area function. So maybe trait shape geometry. So under the trait shape geometry, what's going to happen is that I want to be able to calculate the area, so Fn area of each of these shapes. So and maybe return the u8 here, maybe that's the thing's going to be returned. So let's say so. So what's going to happen here? I want to implement the same for rectangle and implement for the same for triangle without really jumping out. So I can actually even do this to be generics, but that's more deep. Let's just do simple generic stuff. So in this case, I can be able to say I want to do here t, and here it's when I'm going to pass in self at something like at t, like that. Then now that I have something like this trait is now generic, that it can be implemented for rectangle and triangle. So I'm going to say MBL shape geometry, and in this case I want for the rectangle, and in this I want to implement the area function, Fn, the area function, and the area function is going to be self at rectangle, and I'm actually going to do that. Then implement shape geometry type. Okay, yeah, let me do implement that of rectangle. Is it rectangle? Oh, this should be something different here. Just sorry for that. I think I've misplaced these terms here. So I want to say implement rectangle MBL of shape geometry like this. But now this shape geometry is sort of generic, so I need to do that. Then I need to return the right thing there. So once I do that, I need to calculate the area, and the area we know is self dot length or self dot width times self dot height, something like that. But this is not longer a u8. So if you were to take the value here, let maybe okay, let me just say let r equals to that. Then you realize that okay, let me just remove the first one there. You realize like AR is like a snapshot. You need to desnap it before using it. Then you need to do star self.width. That's the snapping stuff. Then star self.height. That way you will have an AR. Then you can just return AR like that. Then finally we have an implementation for the triangle. So for this one is going to be triangle IMBL of shape geometry, and this generic here is triangle. So I need to change this triangle because it has to match the outer one there. So this should be self.base times self.height and times 1 2. So that should be able to return those two. Then finally, the last thing we can do is quickly, I'm going to comment this one out. We will allow my comments. There have been so many, and I can say this video has been longer, this tutorial has been longer than expected. But so let rectangle equals to rectangle and it wants the width maybe 2. I'm using small figures here so that you can be able to see tangible figures at the end. So let rect equals to that. Why are you complaining? Value not dropped. Oh yeah. So as I said, whenever you are doing your structs or your enums, remember to just drop and copy them to avoid getting some weird errors that you don't really expect. Yeah, so I have those. Then I can say rect dot area dot print. So I know this U8 being returned. So if I do that one, I expect a 4. So I'm not sure whether it has printed my 4 because I have this other stuff here. So let me just comment them out before I test it out. Yeah, I have my 4 there and apiculture one there. So I think I'm printing some stuff somewhere. I don't know. But for the rectangle, it has worked. Then the same can happen for a triangle. So triangle, let me quickly change this one like that, then change this one to triangle and change this one to base. So we expect actually 2 here, so let's sort of wait for that one. So we know that one is 4, then we expect 2. Yep, so it's a half to 2. If I change to this one to 4, it's still going to work, a 4 4. But now the problems comes if I change the base to a number that's a decimal, you get 6. Is that correct? I'm not sure, but definitely not correct. It should be something like 6 point something or so, but now, oh, it's actually 6. I'm trying to get a decimal number here, and then how can I get a decimal number? What about, so a half of 3 is 3. Then I can do like that. Believe that one is going to give us 4, even if it's not 4. So it's 1.5 times 3, which is 4.5. And because we don't have floats in Cairo, keep note of that, we don't have floats in Cairo or decimal places. Everything's rounded downwards. Okay, in JavaScript, we do math.fla. That's what you get. In Cairo, things go down, nothing goes up. Even if it were to be a larger number, everything just faces downwards. Yep. So that's small story about generics, and I can just encourage whoever is following this tutorial to quickly go ahead to go, and you can see we have gone up to, okay, we have not said something like working with the hashes, operator overloading, but I can say up to the 12th chapter. Okay, that's not the 11th chapter. We have covered up to that specific part. We have dealt with some macros, not all. Oh, actually it should have been array exclamation mark. That's another macro. We have const evil in it. Okay, that's, yeah, that's the one that I missed, the array macro. But we have gone from chapter 1 to chapter 11, and I can say that's all that's required for your Cairo. The rest is for smart contract development, and I believe that's where I'm going to end this. But a few things to take note from this tutorial is that remember to set up your environment correctly. That's to help you have auto completion, because I did not import box straight here. Or do you see me? No, I didn't. I did not import the dict. It just did import it by itself. Sometimes the array trait also and the option trait, it's sort of automatically imported them for me, though I don't know whether you really need them. But yeah, so if you have proper auto completion, proper syntax highlighting for your code, it will help you quickly be able to code Cairo and catch errors on the fly. And you will realize that whenever I was coding here, I was able to catch those errors. And also the next thing is that whenever you are dealing with strings, you are only using single quotes. Critical. Otherwise, if you don't have the auto completion and the syntax highlighting working well, you might be using double quotes and having errors that you don't see wherever they're coming from. So we have not really talked much about other stuff like converting integers from one integer to another, that is from a smaller integer to a larger integer. Remember, you cannot convert a large integer to a small integer. It will be difficult because some bits will be cut out because these integers have fixed lengths. U8 gives a different length, U32, U64, U256. So you can only convert maybe a U8 to a U256 using the try into trait and other stuff. Otherwise, you can learn Cairo using the Cairo book. This is a very nice resource to go. So that's what I've covered from chapter 1 to chapter 11 so far. Chapter 12 will be covered in writing smart contract codes. So yeah, I believe everything's good. So this one has been long, really long, but this is the crash course that you were waiting for, your Cairo language. So if you use this, do some practice, maybe even create something complex, maybe a bookstore with Cairo, add books, borrow books, sell, delete, all those stuff. You can do them. Just the symbol Cairo language tutorial. Thank you very much for watching up to this point, and if you like it, then subscribe to Live Software Developer channel, and you'll be getting more of this content. So let's meet in the next chapter, writing Cairo smart contracts. So happy coding.